Hello, everybody. I'm Joanna Hall. I am the CEO of Planet Wild, and we are the hosts of the Less Lawn, More Life Challenge. And I am so excited for this webinar and this presentation. As you all hopefully know by now, we are in week 3 of the challenge, and this week is all about planting some native plants, getting some plants in the ground. And so we are so thrilled and grateful that we are going to be joined today by Loris Damerow, the board president of Wild Ones. And I think that this is going to be a fantastic presentation. Planet Wild, as well as other partners, are actually going to be in the live chat as well. So if you do have any questions about the challenge or what's next or anything like that, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'll be here and standing by. Did also just want to say, for anyone that missed it, that the challenge was actually featured on the NBC Live Today Show, which is really just an exciting moment and an acknowledgement, I think a testament to this community that is sort of doing the work and spreading the word. That, it's all about building awareness and it's all about collective action. So huge kudos to everybody that's participating. Keep spreading the word. It's never too late to join the challenge. And keep up the great work. Very excited. Thank you. Over to Loris.
Hello and welcome. I'm Loris Damerow, President of the Board of Directors for Wild Ones. We're here because native plants aren't just beautiful, they are essential. Whether you're planting one species or transforming your entire yard, you're making a real difference for biodiversity, clean water, healthy soil, and, well, life. The Less Lawn, More Life Challenge is all about helping you take practical and powerful steps to shift your yard from conventional turf to habitat. And we're here to support you on this journey. For those of you not familiar with Wild Ones, we're a national nonprofit organization that connects people and native plants for a healthy planet. We promote native landscapes through education, advocacy, and collaborative action. And we do that through local chapters with hands-on learning opportunities across the U.S. We believe that a healthy planet starts with native plants, and our vision is native plants and natural landscapes thriving in every community. Today we're going to walk through the basics. Native plants planted right. We'll talk about why native plants are important, how to choose the right ones for your space, and step-by-step instructions for planting them successfully. And along the way, we'll provide resources and real garden examples to help you feel confident and inspired, no matter where you're starting. So, let's dig in. We've learned from Doug Tallamy about the importance of looking at the big picture and the essential role that native plants play in maintaining a healthy environment. In response to this importance, we must change the way we landscape if we are to live in harmony with nature. What role do you want your garden to play in creating a healthier environment? Your garden has a purpose, and it's more than just looking good. When you plant native plants, you're helping nature work as it should, right in your own yard. You're saving water, skipping harmful chemicals, and spending less time with maintenance. And you're also creating habitat, real functioning habitat for birds, pollinators, and other wildlife. Native plants stabilize soil, filter water, discourage invasives, and give pollinators exactly what they need to survive. And just as important, they offer you something too, a space to connect, to notice the seasons, to recharge, to be a part of the rhythm of nature. Your garden can reflect your values, whether it's ecological restoration, beauty with purpose, or creating a legacy for future generations. So ask yourself, what do I want my garden to do? And let that shape the planting decisions you make. The phrase right plant, right place is one of the most important concepts in gardening. A garden looks beautiful when the plants are healthy and happy. When they are growing in the conditions that are right for them, you are on your way to creating a thriving garden habitat. Before selecting your plants, take a moment to understand what your site has to offer and ask yourself, is my yard sunny or shady? A full sun spot means it gets 6 hours or more of sun each day. Less than 3 hours, or very little direct sun, is considered shade. What kind of soil do I have? Sandy soil feels gritty, clay is sticky, loam crumbly. How does water behave on my plot? Does it drain fast, stay moist, or does it pool after a rain? What existing vegetation and man-made structures are currently in this space? These are all factors of your site inventory. You don't need fancy tools, just observation and maybe a handful of soil between your palms. Take a moment to sketch your site in your garden notebook, especially if it's part of a bigger plan, and don't forget to take lots of photos. This knowledge will set you up to choose plants that already like the conditions you have. Not sure where to begin? Well, there are plenty of resource tools to help you get started. They help you find plants that are adapted to the conditions you have. Locate an ecoregion map from the EPA, Wild Ones, or Homegrown National Park website. Here you will understand climate, soil, landforms, and plant communities in your area. This gives you a more complete picture than just the number of your hardiness zone. Check out the plant lists and the plant lookup tools, like those offered by the Audubon Society and the National Wildlife Federation. And don't forget to tap into experts in your area, like your local Wild Ones chapter, the county extension office, and local nurseries. Ask questions, get recommendations, and learn what works in your own community. Not sure where to start? Take a walk around your neighborhood and notice what fits the look and feel that you are going for. Online platforms like Pinterest and Instagram can be great for collecting ideas, and native books and garden magazines offer compelling visuals and great planting tips. For real-life examples, visit nearby public gardens or attend a native garden tour. And don't forget, Wild Ones offers free native garden designs for ecoregions across the U.S. Use these resources to build a vision for your own space. Let's take a closer look at one of our native garden designs. Not to copy it exactly, but to learn how it works. Each Wild Ones design starts with a real site. Here, a sloped, part shade yard in Philadelphia, one that experiences downspout runoff. The designer assessed the site for sunlight, slope, soil, and moisture, and then created a layout and a plant list that fits. We've zoomed in on a section to explore that planting logic, and here you'll see a mix of sedges and forbs with different bloom times, all chosen to handle moisture and support local biodiversity. But this isn't just a plan of plug and play. What's important is understanding why these plants were chosen and how they're arranged. These designs are examples of how to think like a native gardener, not blueprints to copy exactly, because your site will be different and that's okay. What matters is the process. Assess your site, define your garden's role, and select the plants that fit. Here's another real-world example, this time from Indianapolis. This is a full-sun, south-facing site, and the design uses bold, prairie-inspired planting to make a statement. It's not just beautiful, it's functional. The designers use broad drifts of grasses like little bluestem and prairie dropseed to form the backbone, and then they layer in long-blooming forbs like nodding onion, Bradbury's monarda, and stiff coreopsis for color and pollinator support. Once you've selected plants for your site's conditions, it's time to think about how the plants will work together. Start by grouping those plants with similar needs like sunlight, moisture, and soil type. And next, think in layers. Include ground covers, flowering perennials, grasses, shrubs, and trees, This creates structure, supports more wildlife, and fills space so weeds have less room to grow. Choose plants with different bloom times, early spring through fall, so you're supporting pollinators all seasons and keeping your garden visually engaging. And when possible, choose plants grown from local genotypes. These are adapted to your region. They are better at supporting local ecosystems and help preserve genetic diversity. Your goal isn't just to fill space, it's to build a living, layered, and resilient plant community. Think of these steps as your roadmap. It helps you move from idea to action. Start by defining your project, its scale and timeline. Are you tackling the whole space in one season, or starting small and adding more later? Either is fine, just be realistic about your time, your energy, and your budget. And remember, planning early lets you prep your site and plant in the right season. Next, set a realistic budget. This might influence the kind of plants you choose. Seeds and plugs are more affordable, especially for larger areas, but they require more patience and more weeding. Larger container plants cost more, but offer faster visual impact. You'll also want to think about the cost of mulch, tools, any hardscape features, and whether you're doing the labor yourself or hiring help. Then sketch your space. It doesn't have to be fancy. A simple drawing with sun, shade, wet or dry is enough. Create a rough scale, like 1 inch equals 1 foot. Use grid paper to help with spacing. This is where you match the plants you love to the conditions they'll need. And when placing plants, group thoughtfully. Try repeating 3 species in loose drifts, 3 to 5, instead of scattering them. Consider vertical layers. Think ground covers, perennials, grasses, and maybe a shrub or two to build structure and ecological function. Finally, prioritize and simplify. Choose your must-have plants now and save others for future phases. Starting small can be smart. Smaller plantings are easier to maintain and often more successful, especially for beginners. Perhaps you're just expanding an existing flower bed or enlarging an area that needs reworking. And one last reminder, your first plan doesn't need to be your final one. Native gardens are meant to evolve, and as you observe your site, your plants, and your goals, you can adapt. That is all part of the journey. Let me show you what this whole process might look like in action. Here's a Wild Ones member in the Rock River Valley chapter in Rockford, Illinois. This was a north-facing bed on the side of a rural home, a shaded, weedy, and a bit overgrown. It was late winter, and the gardener sheet mulched the area using cardboard and mulch to suppress existing growth and prep the soil without tilling. Then, with a template from an extension seminar, they finalized a design. The layout includes a mix of ferns and forbs, sedges, and a coralberry shrub placed at the sunnier end of the bed. It was 13 native species total. Most of the plants were bare root, with a few plugs added for quicker establishment. This garden was planted in May of 2024 and is still in the early sleep and creep phase in photo 2. But the bluebells bloomed almost immediately, and more growth is expected as the season progresses. It's a great example of how thoughtful design, paired with careful site prep and realistic expectations, can transform a neglected space into a thriving native habitat. Another example comes from a member of the Loess Hills, Iowa chapter. After building their home in 2019, they committed to filling the landscape with native plants, and over time they've added multiple themed gardens across their yard. For Sunrise Phase 2, they started with a rough suburban lot and a clear vision. Create a pollinator-rich bed with structure and seasonal color. They mapped out the space, chose species that matched the light and soil, and sketched a simple design using a mix of plugs from their chapter's plant sale. Each step, site prep, plant selection, layout, was part of a phased plan that allowed them to build over time without getting overwhelmed. Now the family has hosted multiple garden walks, and passers-by have started to notice. People ask questions. They see the sign in the yard. That's how the movement grows, one visible, vibrant native garden at a time. Once you've got your garden plan, your layout, your plant list, and your goals, it's time to think about sourcing. Where you get your plants and in what form can have a big impact on your timeline, your budget, and your success. Do you start from seed? Use plugs. What time of year do native nurseries ship? When are the local plant sales held? And what do I order? Let's take a moment to walk through the most common plant sizes you'll see when shopping for natives and how to choose what's right for your project. Seeds are the most affordable option and a great way to cover large areas, especially for a mixed prairie look or for growing tall grasses or no-mow varieties. You can often find native plant seeds in a wider diversity of species than what is available in containers. It's important to note that many native seeds need special prep, like cold stratification, to sprout. Plugs are small but mighty. These young plants have healthy root systems and are easy to install. They're great for beginners and often come in bulk trays or as singles, perfect for filling spaces efficiently without breaking the bank. Quart and gallon pots give you more immediate visual impact. They're best used as focal points or when you want your garden to look grown in more quickly. Bare root plants are typically dormant shrubs or trees sold without soil. You can also turn container plants into bare root plants by gently washing off the potting mix. To plant, soak the roots before planting, then make sure to install them right away. Bare root planting allows seeding roots to make immediate contact with your site's soil, often leading to faster establishment, vigorous growth, and reduced transplant shock compared to container-grown plants. So no matter what size you choose, healthy roots will grow into healthy plants. Now that you have a solid plant list, where do you get them? Sourcing the right native plants takes a little bit more intention, but it's worth it. Start local. Native plant nurseries, Wild Ones chapter sales, regional plant societies are your best bet for finding straight species, the true native plants that offer the most ecological value. When shopping, bring the scientific names with you to avoid mix-ups. Many native plants share common names with lookalikes that aren't true natives, or maybe cultivars that don't support wildlife in quite the same way. Don't be discouraged if the plant looks a little rough around the edges. Native plants are built for resilience, not flash. They're grown tough and often are overwintered out of doors. What matters most is what's happening underground. Native plant nurseries are using growing methods tailored to each species, and some grow fast and some take years. It's important to remember that behind every healthy plant is a nursery team, investing time, water, expertise, and energy, often for several seasons. This is reflected in the price. You're not just buying a plant, you're investing in habitat. And here is one final tip. Build a good relationship with growers. This can go a long way. Let them know what you're looking for. The more people that ask for native plants, the more growers will carry them. Finally, wherever you can, choose local genotypes. These are plants grown from seeds or stock collected in your local region. These plants are best adapted to your conditions and help maintain genetic diversity. That diversity matters, especially as we face climate shifts and ecosystem stress. If you're not sure where a plant came from, just ask. Many nurseries are happy to share sourcing information. The bottom line? Well, it starts with plants that match your site. Choose a size that fits your timeline and your resources. Look at real designs for ideas. and find a trustworthy source for your plants. Okay, now let's talk about planting. First, it's important to prep your site. Your site assessment likely identified existing grass, or maybe unwanted ornamental plants, or even invasive species that need to be removed before you add your natives. There are several effective methods for removing turf. First is sheet mulching, using layers of cardboard and mulch. This is a low effort and a very effective way, but it takes a little bit of time, so start when you can. If you're in a hurry, digging up sod is faster, but a lot more work. And in hot, sunny climates, solarizing with plastic, plus that smothering factor, can kill grass and weeds using the sun's heat. If you can, try to avoid herbicides. Those chemicals can linger in the soil and harm the microbial life that your new plants depend on. Whatever method you choose, study your site carefully and consider what is there. And when you begin, don't overwork your soil. You want to keep its structure intact because healthy soil is already its own microbial ecosystem. Your job is just to make space for the right plants. Now comes the part a lot of people look forward to, and that's the planting. This is where your vision starts to take shape. After all that planning, prepping, and choosing the right plants, putting them in the ground is the most fun of all. You're not just adding beauty, you're creating habitat. Spring and fall are ideal times to plant. Milder temperatures and more consistent rainfall help new plants settle in without stress. Summer planting is possible too. It just takes a little extra care, like more frequent watering or providing temporary shade. So let's walk through what you do, step by step. Lay out your plants before you dig. This helps you double-check the spacing and visualize the overall look. Consider the plant's mature size when planting, not how small they look when they're in their containers or their plugs. Make sure you give them room to grow. Dig the right-sized hole. When you're ready, dig a hole about 2 or 3 times as wide as the root ball, but no deeper. Wide, shallow holes help roots to spread out quickly. You don't want the plant to sit too low. Plant the plant. To remove a plant from its container, squeeze the pot sides and push up from the bottom. Don't yank on the stem. If you see circling roots, tease them apart gently. If they're tightly knotted, cut them apart. Just give them a little help to grow outward. Set the plant at the same depth as it was in the growing pot. You want the crown right at soil level. For bare root plants, make sure the roots are spread out evenly, not bunched or twisted. Then begin to backfill with the soil you removed, gently pressing the soil around the roots as you eliminate air pockets, but don't compact it too tightly. You want the roots to be able to breathe. In the first year, consider watering. It is key to helping native plants establish deep, resilient roots. Water deeply, about once or twice a week, depending on rainfall. The goal isn't just to keep the surface moist, but to encourage roots to grow down where they'll be protected from drought later on. A deep soak means watering long enough to moisten the soil at least 4 inches. That might be of 5 to 10 seconds with a hose, maybe at the base of the plant, or 15 to 60 minutes for a larger area if you're using a sprinkler. Always check the soil before and after watering to see if you've gone deep enough. In hot summer weather, you might need to water more often or even provide temporary shade, especially for newly planted perennials or plugs. If your plants are in active growth, check with them even more frequently and make sure they're getting the right amount of moisture. Add a light layer of mulch. 2 to 3 inches is enough, but keep it away from the base and stem. And when it comes to mulch, opt for something natural, leaf litter or straw or shredded bark or other organic options. Just make sure that whatever you use, it has been sustainably produced. Mulching helps retain moisture and keep weeds down. Don't pile it up against the stem. Keep it light, especially around seedlings. And when you're done, it's time to label your plants. Labels help you remember what you planted and where you planted it, and help you monitor how it's doing. Save those nursery tags and sketch out your layout or keep a simple list or spreadsheet with the species and plantings. This makes it easy to remember from one season to the next. Most turf grass can be killed off the first season with sheet mulching. Some ground covers may require an entire 12-month cycle to be eradicated before you can plant. Here in this Michigan garden, the ground cover vinca was covered in black plastic. In year 2, the plastic was lifted. Then plugs and transplants were installed. Leaves were used as a mulch between plants, and the bottom photo shows the native planting taking shape in year 3. Native plant gardens become lower maintenance over time, but the first year is critical. Water deeply, once or twice a week, depending on rainfall, especially during dry spells. The goal is to train roots to grow deeper and not linger near the surface. Weed early and often. Young native plants can't compete with fast-growing weeds. Stay ahead of them now and you'll have fewer problems later. In the fall, don't clean up too much. Leave seed heads and leaves to support overwintering insects and improve soil health. And finally, track what's happening. A simple garden journal can make a big difference. Note what you've planted, where it was planted, and when. Jot down weather patterns, what's thriving or struggling, and what maintenance you've done. That way, each season becomes a learning experience. Even with the best intentions, a few common mistakes can set you back. Here's what to watch for and how to avoid them. Not everything labeled native is equally beneficial. Many cultivars, also called nativars, are bred for looks, not ecosystem support. So check those labels carefully. It's easy to get excited and jump straight into planting, but don't rush. If you skip site prep and site assessment, even the perfect plan can fail. If it's in the wrong spot, it's just not going to do well. Even if you choose the right plant for your site, improper care can set it back, or worse, kill the new plant. New plants need a lot of water, but not too much, and different plants have different needs. It might seem small, but labeling your plants can really pay off. Label every plant as you install it, so you can remember what is planted where and when, and track its survival. Learn what's working or what's not, and then figure out why. Finally, native plants often follow the sleep, creep, leap pattern. You won't always see fast results, and that's okay. Set realistic expectations and trust the process. A thriving native garden takes time. Don't forget to watch your garden grow. In the spring, you'll see early blooms and new growth pushing through the mulch, and by summer, the pollinators arrive in full force. Late summer and fall brings deep color, seed heads, and height. And winter, don't cut it all down. What looks quiet is still alive with purpose. So when you plant native, you're not just building a landscape, you're joining in a cycle, something that grows with you, teaches you, and gives back all year long. In closing, you don't need a perfect plan or a huge budget to make a difference. Every square foot counts. The journey you're starting on is about hope, action, and growing a relationship with the land. Whether it's a single milkweed or a beautiful prairie bed, you're part of something meaningful. As Desmond Tutu said, do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. That's exactly what this movement is. Millions of small actions adding up to real change for a better environment. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. What an incredible presentation. So much knowledge, and obviously some great resources as well that we can all continue to leverage. We are going to continue answering questions in the chat. It'll remain open for the next 30 minutes. So feel free to keep posting your questions. Otherwise, again, a huge thank you to Wild Ones and to all our partners on the Less Lawn, More Life Challenge.